mobile connectivity, which after all are Safaricom's core business, are quite simply a beacon of hope for the world. Every day they allow billions of people to connect and interact. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, these connections with loved ones, with schools and colleges, with colleagues in remote workplaces, with healthcare professionals, with essential suppliers, became more important than ever. And Safaricom and companies like it have consistently helped to sustain that hope. So for me, that's just one material way in which Safaricom has helped to sustain development during this most testing of times for our country and our planet. CS Vetimaina, Chair Michael Joseph, CEO Peter Ndegwa, Stephen, my namesake, Yvonne, Marianne, Edwin, the co-moderators, friends, both in the hall and online. You'll all know of the excellent work, and we've been hearing about it this morning, of the United Nations Global Compact, whose ambition is to make business sustainable and to benefit sustainable development from business. And indeed, Peter and I sit in the UN Global Compact Kenya together. And of course, the global leadership of UN Global Compact is provided by none other than a proud daughter of Kenya and of Safaricom, my friend and sister, Sanda Ojiambo. Congratulations, Safaricom, for being, as we heard earlier, the only African company to have been awarded UN Global Compact lead status. That's quite an accolade. And for 10 years, you've been blazing the trail, and that's why we're here this morning. You've been blazing the trail in sharing your successes, yes, but also, as Yvonne reminded us, the constraints, the challenges that you face in a transparent and accountable manner through this sustainable business reporting mechanism. All of these are amazing achievements and testimony to the caliber of leadership and stewardship that Safaricom has nurtured. So I want to say on behalf of UN Kenya, a very warm and hearty hongera sana. Friends, earlier this month, the United Nations Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, unveiled a new 12-point vision for the planet called Our Common Agenda. And it's very easy to find. Just Google Our Common Agenda and you'll hit it. One message that rang louder and clearer than any other was this: the choices that we make today as a planet and as people, the choices that we make today or that we fail to make today, could either result in further breakdown of humanity in perpetual crisis, or in a breakthrough to a more just, sustainable, and safer world. We now have a fleeting but golden chance to build a more sustainable future together, but we only have 8 years left until 2030, until that rendezvous with destiny that are the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, Safaricom's work is critical to many of the SDGs in Kenya and on the continent. On what basis can I make that claim? First, you're delivering connectivity and innovative products and services. That's Sustainable Development Goal, SDG number 9 on innovation. By doing so, you're enabling Kenyans to partner more effectively and more efficiently, and, COVID again, virtually. That's goal number 17 on partnership. Through these partnerships, you're helping Kenya and Kenyans move towards goal number 3 on health, and Michael online spoke movingly of your work during COVID just a few minutes ago. Towards goal 4 on education, tele-education. Goal 5 on gender equality by bringing more women and girls into the online national conversation. And you're doing so in ways that are increasingly environmentally sustainable. We heard about that from Karen. And that stimulate economic growth. So that's goals 16 and 8, respectively. Kudos. Hongera sana, again. But it's clear that some very deep challenges remain. Existential threats to our common goals and to the full achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals in Kenya and globally. During the last few weeks, I've visited a large number of regions in Kenya to familiarize myself with the challenges and opportunities of this journey towards the SDGs. And indeed, a lot is happening. But many questions still remain in my mind from the interactions that I've had with people in northern Kenya, in the refugee camps of Dadaab and Kakuma and in the host communities around them, or in the urban informal settlements not very far from here in Matare, where I was just a couple of weeks ago. A great deal more remains to be done to ensure that we accelerate towards transformative and sustainable economic, social, and environmental solutions. A couple of examples. We simply haven't yet tapped into the amazing potential that there is in the fact that more than 35 million Kenyans are under the age of 35. That youth bulge is potentially our most dynamic vector for driving social and economic development. But every year, 1 million more young Kenyans come onto the job market. Only half of 14 to 17-year-olds in Kenya finish secondary school, and only about 8% progress to university. And even for those who do get to university and colleges, we see a deep and persistent mismatch between the skills they acquire and those that the job market can absorb. But on an optimistic note, recent research by an online platform with whom we work, Shujaz, revealed that when young people are engaged and when they see the smallest glimmer of opportunity in front of them, trust, partnership, economic and social development, participatory democracy all become possible. So again, connectivity, which you provide, Safaricom, it's key to reaching youth, engaging with them, unleashing their creativity and their determination to shape their future and their country's future. A second existential threat, of course, is COVID. A public health emergency of deep gravity very quickly spiraled into the most dramatic human and socioeconomic crisis we've seen in 100 years. And it's a very major threat to the tangible achievements that have been made in the journey towards the SDGs. Around the world, hundreds of millions have returned to absolute poverty. Here in Kenya, the impact has been equally dramatic. And as a result of global vaccine inequity, global vaccine injustice, we're far from through the worst. So I really want to salute the way that the Kenyan private sector came together early on in the pandemic to provide and support a global collective response, something that you mentioned already, Peter. And I really agree with you, Yvonne, that never have the principles driving this sustainable business report been so profound or so important as right now. Let me mention a third existential threat. Just a week or so ago, His Excellency the President declared a national drought emergency, ravaging as many as 21 of 47 counties. And just tomorrow, I'll be flying to Wajir with CS Wamalwa to launch a large-scale drought emergency appeal. Now, on the one hand, we have much to thank Safaricom for here again, because thanks to M-Pesa, we can serve the impacted communities through M-Pesa, through cash transfers, in a way that is far more effective, immediate, efficient, economically cost-effective, and transparent than traditional relief food distribution. So M-Pesa provides us a ready tool to respond. And yet, I can't fail to note the irony that in a country as 21st century as Kenya, with an extraordinary tool like M-Pesa, we're still facing a drought emergency. It's as though we're in two different worlds somehow in Kenya. So we urgently need a Marshall Plan that brings together public and private sector actors, domestic and international, to reach those in northern Kenya, to invest in resilience, in the creation of jobs and livelihoods, and to ensure that no one is left behind. And we need a similar major push to reach the populations at risk of being left behind in Kenya's burgeoning informal settlements, where 1/8 of the population currently lives, strives, and thrives, and which are growing at an incredible 4% a year. So I really hope Safaricom can continue to partner with the government at national and county levels and with the United Nations in Marshall Plans for both the rural north and for the underserved, informal, urbanized. I could go on enumerating these challenges, but it isn't all gloom and doom. So let me give my perspective on a few elements that could form our common agenda through shared value collaborations. CS, Kenya's Vision 2030 coincides, does it not, with the race to the last decade of Agenda 2030 and the SDGs, so that Kenya can still become the newly industrializing middle-income country, providing a high quality of life to all its citizens. To do that, we need to engender and support an agile social, political, and economic space, one that is inclusive, responsive to the needs of Kenya's people, and unlocks their collective energies. And we have to work on this together, friends. And I believe that the information technologies and platforms and digital disruption are key. Let me just give you one example. Did you know that extending broadband, and we heard already about the progress that's being made on this. Did you know that extending broadband is one of the quickest ways to move people out of extreme poverty? A recent World Bank study shows that extreme poverty drops by about 4% per annum after 1 year of gaining mobile broadband coverage, 4% per annum. 2 or more years see it drop by 7%. A global or national campaign to extend broadband, therefore, could deliver extraordinary dividends to the extremely impoverished. So this is just one example of an accelerator for the kind of sustainable development that we need. And it's going to require the leadership, the vision, and the energies of everyone in the private sector. There is a golden opportunity to be seized, to collaborate and build synergies towards these common goals. And we can do it if we can master what a good friend and colleague of mine rather elegantly refers to as the shared value dance. Marianne, you were quite right to pose that question to Peter. How do we strike the right balance between profit and purpose? It's a difficult one, but it's imperative that we find the solution. We must urgently identify initiatives together that can guarantee and deliver profit with purpose, or the so-called triple bottom line: economic profit, social impact, environmental sustainability simultaneously. And again, I believe you in Safaricom are blazing the trail. But we mustn't just identify these, we have to scale them up. We only have these 8 years. Fortunately, we do have the tools. We have Global Compact Kenya, and we have the SDG Public-Private Partnership Platform, a unique platform co-created by the government of Kenya and the United Nations system. And Safaricom is a member of the SDG Partnership Platform, and we've done a great deal of work already with the M-Pesa Foundation. This shared SDG public-private partnership platform of ours sustains a robust, well-positioned and trusted multi-stakeholder ecosystem that convenes, connects and catalyses the kinds of concrete investments that can realise this triple bottom line across the Big Four agenda and across multiple sectors. By pooling all of our resources, public and private, domestic and international, we can scale up these shared value business models and harness the superpower of private equity, private capital, to complement what are now, because of COVID, very constrained public finances. And we can still hit those SDGs by 2030. Let me give some illustrations. Safaricom and UNICEF together have already connected 87 schools to the internet, providing greater learning opportunities for 31,000 children. Safaricom's been supporting UNICEF's campaign to end violence against children. It's called Spot It, Stop It. Lastly, Safaricom is leveraging its unparalleled reach through mobile SMS text messages to support UNICEF, the World Health Organization, and the Ministry of Health on immunization campaigns. But, and here I'm going to close, you'll be relieved to hear, it's not enough. We have to do much, much more, and much, much more quickly. So let me throw on the table a couple of moonshot initiatives that we might dream of together and realize together. Under the GIGA initiative, UNICEF and the International Telecommunications Union, the ITU, are pushing hard with the Ministry of Youth and Information and Communications Technology, and I believe with your ministry as well, CS, to connect 1,000 more schools to broadband internet by the end of 2022. And the overall aim is to connect all 23,000 schools around the country to broadband. If we can do that, kids learn, communities prosper. We can do this together, but 1,000 schools by the end of next year isn't going to cut it. We have to get them all done. So that's the moonshot that I want to invite you into, is connecting all schools within a very immediate period around the country. And we can do this through Generation Unlimited, the President's flagship initiative to bring together public and private sector for youth. So I invite Safaricom to join us in the Generation Unlimited platform, supported by the SDG partnership platform that I spoke of earlier. A second moonshot. UNDP is helping government at county levels to roll out innovation hubs across the country. I was in Isiolo just last week with CS Mucheru and the Deputy Chief of Staff of State House, visiting a fabulous youth innovation centre in Isiolo town that's focusing and harnessing young people's energies and leveraging on the power of information technology. But why shouldn't we have one of those innovation hubs in every one of the 47 county towns around the country? Indeed, why shouldn't we have many more? So again, I'd like to invite Safaricom and the other private sector actors in the room to join us in a moonshot to build innovation hubs in every county in the country. So friends, as I wind up, the hour is urgent, time is short. Kenya needs to go forward together to hit the 17 SDGs, and it's going to need everybody. The energies of youth, represented by Marianne and Edwin, the energies of the private sector, represented by all of you here today, United Nations, government, CS. It's going to need us all. It's going to need us all to drive to the 17 SDGs and to leave no one behind, to close those gaps, those widening gaps that I spoke of earlier, to go forward in the manner Tuende Mbogi Full, as DJ Maji Maji taught me in Sheng recently when I returned from Matare and went on Ghetto FM with him. He was very patient with me as I took my lessons in Sheng. So I turn to you, Safaricom, and other key players who've joined us at this important event to make sure that we go forward together.